Nobody likes a cold. It's the runny nose, the congestion that keeps you up all night, and that cough that just won't quit. Especially coming out of COVID, where with a simple sneeze, those around you think that you have the plague. But what if I were to tell you with 3 simple steps, you can turn for what most is a miserable week or two into little or no symptoms, and best of all is cheap and safe. So if reclaiming your health quickly sounds good for you, then keep watching because you're not going to want to miss this. Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Eric, a family practice physician, and if you haven't noticed, we've entered into cold season. A few years back, I got tired of getting sick for my kids, and I started to read and try and find out if there's a way that I could either prevent or get rid of a cold before it got really bad. And so I started reading all sorts of studies to see what might be effective, and I settled on 3 interventions that are not only backed by studies, but I've been able to put into practice in my own life and in the life of my family and patients have had great results. I have to give a disclaimer though, although each one of these that I'm going to share with you each show some promise in shortening colds, there aren't any studies that have been done that have put them all together. The only proof that I have is my own experience and how it's helped my own patients. But I still feel comfortable talking about it because each of these interventions are generally felt to be safe for most people. So as with anything on the internet, take it with a grain of salt and make sure you run it by your own doctor before you make any changes to your own practices. Okay, so that's enough of that. Let's get into what you need to do to kick that cold fast. You need to remember, the key to making this work is to start right at the very hint of a cold coming on. When you just start feeling that little tickle in the throat, or that slight sniffle or sneezing, you've got to get on this before that virus has time to replicate too much and start spreading through you. So the first thing I want you to do is right when you notice symptoms, you need to start using nasal saline irrigation. You can do this a variety of different ways. I use a bottle like this, one that you can find at any pharmacy. What you do is take the bottle, add the salt solution from the packet that comes with it, and then fill it with warm water. To be the safest, the manufacturer recommends that you use distilled water. You can use a bottle like this, a neti pot, or even the Navage nasal irrigation system. I first got turned on to this idea from a recent study looking at using nasal saline irrigation early on in COVID-19 infections. It had some really good data showing that it decreased symptom severity and decreased risk of hospitalization, as well as being safe and cheap. So when I use it, I try to irrigate my nasal passages 2 to 3 times a day, right at the onset of symptoms. It's most comfortable to use room temperature or warmer water and thoroughly irrigate each side. It's not the most attractive thing in the world, but it really does work. Okay, so the next thing I do is I start taking vitamin C. Vitamin C is something that for a long time people have pushed to try and help prevent colds, but unfortunately there have been many studies showing that higher dose vitamin C on a daily basis doesn't really prevent you from getting a cold. What more studies have shown, however, is that taking higher doses of vitamin C right at the onset of symptoms can shorten the duration of your illness. One study showed that taking around 6,000 milligrams daily right at the onset of symptoms appears to decrease the length of symptoms by around 20%. So because of this, I start taking 2,000 milligrams 3 times a day as soon as my symptoms start. But this is where you need to talk to your own doctor to see if this will be safe for you, because there are certain patients who shouldn't take higher doses of vitamin C. I'm not going to give a comprehensive list, but the most common ones are those with decreased kidney function, especially those on dialysis, those who have conditions that cause high iron levels in the body, as well as those who form certain kinds of kidney stones. So again, talk to your doctor to make sure this would be safe for you. And just to be transparent, there are some other side effects that are possible with higher doses of vitamin C. The most commonly noticed ones are diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, heartburn, stomach cramps, and sometimes headaches. So if it affects you this way, then don't take that high of a dose. Now the third step that I found that has been shown to be helpful is oral zinc, specifically oral zinc lozenges like these. Most studies looking at zinc have seen that with taking zinc every 3 to 4 hours at the onset of symptoms can shorten your cold by 2 to 3 days. Pop them into your mouth and allow them to dissolve slowly. Zinc is felt to help prevent the replication of different cold viruses, which keeps it from taking over your body and causing all the symptoms that are so miserable. So that's the regimen I use. Right when I start to feel a cold coming on, I start doing nasal saline irrigation, vitamin C, and zinc. I keep doing this for at least 3 days after the symptoms have gone away. Ever since I've done this, I haven't had a cold progress into anything more than a little congestion or a scratchy throat. The only time this has failed me is when I stopped these treatments the day I started feeling better. It's been an amazing thing for me and for my patients, and hopefully after clearing it with your own doctor can be something that can be helpful to you too. And if you want to learn a little bit more about how to do the nasal sinus rinse, I go to it in a little more in depth right here. So hopefully it'll make you a little more comfortable with doing it yourself. So we can't wait to see you there. But if not, still focus on healthy eating, getting plenty of sleep, and washing those hands, as it's still the most effective way to not have to worry about any of this. Again, I'm Dr. Eric with Family Med, and we can't wait to see you in the next video.